Hawks Nest News. This week we'll be talking about the Camden Toboggan Races and interviewing someone about performing at the Camden Opera House. Hope you enjoy the show.
NHCS students have been making a name for themselves in Camden. The weekend of February 12th, Odin competed with his teammates in the toboggan races. Their team placed third in the student division. Later in the month, Rita performed with others at the Camden Opera House to launch Steve Costanza's book, King of Ragtime.
How long did it take you to build?
It took us like 3-4 sessions. We started with smoothing the planks to make the sled. We were originally going to build one sled out of locust and one sled out of ash. So we were going to make one sled out of ash to make a sled to sell at the Toboggan Nationals and to make this sled that we race in out of locust. But then when we were bending the locust, they all broke when we bent them to make the curl on the toboggan. So we used the ash. And so it took us like 3-4 sessions of like 3 hours, 3.5 hours. Yeah.
What was your favorite part?
Well, it was kind of like my dad telling me that we are gonna make a sled and you guys are gonna maybe race if you want to. And it was also like, it was waxing the sled because it was all done and painting the sled and polishing.
So the finishing details?
Yeah.
Who built it?
Well, it was a collaboration between my dad, Morty, or my dad is Kenny, Morty, Noah helped us bend the sled to make the curl, and Antonin is another person on the sled that I went with, and Sophie, and Cyrus. Yeah.
What was your inspiration?
Well, I remember my dad and Morty, Noah, and Abel building a sled and racing it in 2019. So I kind of wanted to go down, and I was talking about it in the summer, and my dad was talking about it to me, and then it happened.
How fast did you go?
We went 30-something miles. No, yeah, 30-something miles. 34. But when we passed the finish line, I think we were going 36. Yeah.
That's all?
Okay. When did you first start playing the flute?
In March 2020.
How did you get involved with the ragtime performance?
I met Steve Costanza on the road one day and he asked me if I would like to play the entertainer with him.
How many performances have there been?
4.
What's your favorite Scott Joplin piece?
Probably the song Bethina, which is a waltz that Scott Joplin wrote.
Did you first learn that for the Scott Joplin performance?
No, I learned the entertainer was the Scott Joplin piece that I played at my performance.
When was the Camden Opera House performance?
On February 27th.
What was your favorite performance?
Probably the first performance at Waterman's and the performance at the Southern Harbor House.
Is there anything you want to say about any of the performances or what you've been doing with the flute?
I have recently been learning the piece Bethina on the flute.
And what do you think you'll do next with the flute? Like, will you do any more shows or anything?
Maybe. I'm mostly concentrating on learning the Rubank flute methods books.
Thank you.
Yes, any old time.
bienvenidos. El Hawks Nest News, the Weather Channel, and Espanol. This week we have some messy weather on the horizon. It will be hace sol on sábado. Es muy triste el domingo, jueves y viernes. Llueve y nueva. El lunes solo llueva. Y martes y el martes y miércoles está nublado. The good news is no hace mucho vientos. That's it for this week. Hasta luego.
NHCS hired a new special education director, Sonia DeBoer, who moved here from California in the summer of 2020. Our reporter Sigmund interviewed her on coming to the school.
What brought you to the island?
Well, I was living in California, and we come here every summer. I have my family has a home in Owl's Head, and my mom and dad were here at the cottage, and they picked up a newspaper in the morning, the Courier Gazette, and it had a little tiny box that said North Haven Island School, and they were looking for a director of special ed. And so we called and found out about the job, and because we loved Maine, we've always come here during our summers, and it worked out to come to the island to work. Beautiful. And I love going for hikes in the forest, all the little trails that are there, and the fact that some of the trails are even in the forest right along the water. I mean, you can't get any better than that.
Yeah. What's your favorite part about teaching about the school?
What I really like is that I get to work with kids all the way from kindergarten all the way up to 12th grade, and that it's small. We all get to know each other really well.
What are other places you have lived and taught?
Oh boy. California, Kansas, Washington State, and Australia. And I have worked in also a lot of states as a consultant, where I would fly to schools and stay there for a little while and help them with things. So I've gotten to go all over the place.
I understand that you've written a book. How long did it take to write the book?
Oh boy. Well, it depends. I have written a couple of different books. So, let's see, one of them is a lot longer than the other one. So it took me almost a year probably.
Oh, wow.
It has a lot of like forms in it for teachers to use. So part of the work was creating these forms and checklists and things.
Yeah.
And then, you know, some of it's writing. But part of the process is you have to send it to your editor, and then they take a while to go through and edit, and then they send it back. So that can be like a couple of months just doing that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And what are some of your other interests besides teaching?
Well, I really love photography. I like to take pictures, and I also like doing multimedia art with stuff, like using shadow boxes to make different things from nature.
Yeah.
And I love traveling and reading. I'm a huge reader, and I love really like hiking and backpacking and camping, and I love being out in nature.
Would you like to tell anything else about yourself?
Well, I think that one thing that is fun about being here is that I get to know a lot of people in a smaller community, and then I really like living in a rural area.
Yeah.
And when I lived in Australia, we lived on an island there for 4 years. And I think that, it's a really neat thing to live in a community on an island, and it's a different type of life, and
Yeah.
I really like it here. And
Well,
it's
thank
great.
you.
Yeah, thank you.
This year's basketball season was very exciting for our girls' team because they made it to the tournament at the Augusta Civic Center. For the tournament game, they played the Valley Bingham team. The first 3 quarters were not so good for them, but in the fourth quarter, they shaped up and about doubled their score. Sadly, they did not take the win, but it has still been a great season for the Lady Hawks. This year, the students in 4, 5, 6 have been working on a joint project in art and social studies. They have been studying the Wabanaki moons. The Wabanaki tribes had a moon theme for every month. For example, November is the river freezing moon. The art for every moon was compiled into a calendar. The art is now hanging on the walls of Waterman's Community Center.
We hope you enjoyed the show. We have had a lot to cover with all the exciting things NHS students have been doing. Thank you for watching Hawks Nest News.